They say home is where the heart is, but what if it's also where your karma keeps its backup files? You see some houses just sit there, brick, wood, tile, and regret. Others, they whisper, they nudge. They hold on to your luck like a grandmother clutching a winning bingo card. And if you're lucky, or just old enough to stop ignoring the obvious, your home might be trying to tell you something. Not in ghostly moans or flickering lights. Don't flatter yourself. I mean real signs. Quiet ones. The kind that sneak into your mornings like sunlight through the curtains, or frogs singing finance mantras from your backyard. In Buddhism, your environment isn't random. It's a mirror. It reflects what you've cultivated consciously, or while half asleep watching daytime TV. And some homes, strangely enough, seem to grow richer the longer you stay in them. Not just in money, but in memory, meaning, and mysteriously good timing. So before you list your house and run off to a condo with beige carpets and bingo Thursdays, maybe wait, maybe listen. Because if your house is showing any of these signs, it might not be time to move on. It might be time to wake up and get richer doing it. Part 1. The wind that whispers you're not done yet. Some people chase signs from the universe in tarot cards or astrology apps. But if you're over 60, the real message might be sneaking in through your living room window on a breeze. Not every gust of wind is divine. Sometimes it's just your neighbor's air fryer exploding. But when that cool, comforting breeze floats through your home exactly when you need it, when you're stuck in grief, regret, or a late-stage identity crisis, that's not just weather, that's a whisper. In feng shui, wind is energy in motion, but in Buddhist terms, it's prana, life force. Movement without judgment. A breath from the present moment. And it tends to show up right before you're about to make a terrible decision, like selling your home for a minimalist RV lifestyle, because you watched one too many YouTube van life videos. Psychologically, our homes register patterns. When a breeze flows easily through your space, it signals openness, not just structurally, but emotionally. You've left space for change, which means you haven't calcified into a human paperweight just yet. One woman I knew, 78, retired nurse, was about to move into assisted living boxes packed. Then one morning, a breeze from the southeast blew through her kitchen, knocking over a dusty recipe card. Her late husband's handwriting. She cried, unpacked, made meatloaf, and a month later, her estranged son came back into her life. Coincidence? Or a house with better timing than most therapists? So if a breeze rolls in, don't dismiss it. Take a breath. Feel it on your skin. Maybe it's not just air. Maybe it's your home, gently saying, stay. There's more here for you. Part 2. The rainbow. That's not just a Hallmark moment. Rainbow's nature's way of saying, I'm sorry about the storm. Here's a screensaver. Most people look at a rainbow and think, how pretty. But if you're aging like fine wine or lukewarm prune juice, it might be worth pausing a moment longer. Because in some traditions and quite a few retirement communities, a rainbow isn't just a pretty sky sticker. It's a cosmic memo. And sometimes it reads, you're not done getting lucky. Feng Shui considers the rainbow a bridge between heaven and earth. Buddhists. We know it's an illusion. Beautiful, fleeting, ungraspable, like youth or affordable health care. But illusion doesn't mean it's meaningless. It means pay attention. Psychologists call it pattern completion bias. You see beauty after chaos, and your brain says, maybe it's not all pointless after all. And sometimes that hope rewires something inside you. Take Harold Widower, 81. His financial planner just ghosted him and he was convinced he was cursed. Then one morning after a brutal storm, he saw a double rainbow over his backyard. That afternoon, his niece called to tell him the house he forgot he co-signed on in the 80s just sold for a fortune. He now refers to that rainbow as God's stock tip coincidence. Of course, but also maybe not. If you see a rainbow over your house, don't just snap a photo for Facebook and go back to microwaving sadness. Sit with it. Feel the absurdity of it all. Then whisper, I'm still open to blessings. Because sometimes the universe sends fortune. wrapped in water vapor and cosmic sarcasm. Part 3. Birds nesting. You're the chosen one or just warm real estate. When birds start building a nest near your home, most people react one of two ways. 1. AWW, how sweet. 2. Great, more poop on the patio. But here's the secret: birds don't nest just anywhere. They don't build homes where they feel unsafe, chaotic, or spiritually bankrupt. You know, like your cousin Linda's apartment. Swallows and sparrows are picky little architects. And if they've chosen your home's eaves, rafters, or mailbox as the site of their avian Airbnb, that might be the universe's weird way of saying, this place has good energy. And maybe, so do you. Buddhists say that when life flows harmoniously, beings are drawn to you, both seen and unseen. Birds symbolize continuity, connection, and unseen blessings. Elderly psychology echoes this when older adults maintain environments that feel stable, natural, and safe. Others, including wildlife, tend to mirror that energy. One retired teacher I knew had a pair of sparrows that nested under her roof every spring for 12 years. The year she finally forgave herself for how things ended with her late sister, guess what? The nest doubled in size and a red-throated visitor showed up for the first time. Reconciliation with wings, she called it. Was it just biology? Probably. Was it something more? Definitely. So if birds start nesting near, you don't swat them away. Don't Google pest control. Pause. Listen. You might just be witnessing the karma of kindness coming home to roost one feather at a time. Part 4. Morning sunlight. Your house is still betting on you. If you wake up and your house is filled with soft golden light, take a moment before you check your blood pressure or curse the cat for waking you up again, because that light, it might be your house's way of saying, I'm still rooting for you. You see, in feng shui, sunlight is considered pure yang energy, active, life-giving cleansing. In Buddhist practice, morning is sacred because it's when the mind is clearest, most spacious, and in elderly psychology, natural light actually slows cognitive decline and reduces depression in older adults. Translation: the sun is trying to keep you sane and solvent, and yet so many folks shut it out. Heavy curtains, dark corners, a shrine to gloom. Why? Because light exposes things. Dust memories the fact that the kitchen clock has been dead since 2009. But if your home lets the sunlight in, especially from the east or southeast, it means your space is aligned with growth, not metaphorical growth. Real late in life, you're still evolving. Barbara kind of growth. I knew a retired jazz musician, grumpy as a goose. One day after months of rain, the sunlight poured through his window and landed on his old trumpet. He picked it up for the first time in 15 years. 2 months later, he was giving free lessons at the community center. Blame the damn sun, he said. So don't block out the light. Don't assume your bright days are behind you, because if your house still glows in the morning, maybe your story isn't finished. Part 5. Frogs croaking. Your debt collectors are losing grip. Ah, frogs, nature's little gargoyles with gambling problems. Most people hear them croaking after a rain and think, is that romantic? Or just wet chaos? But in spiritual traditions, frogs have always meant something more. In feng shui, they represent money flowing. In Buddhism, they're symbols of rebirth, creatures who go from water to land, from silence to voice. And in elderly psychology, they're one of the few nighttime sounds that don't spike anxiety. They soothe the nervous system, unless you're scared of amphibians. Then good luck. Now here's the twist when frogs start croaking around your house, especially after rain. It's not just swamp karaoke. It might be the universe clearing its throat to say, your fortunes are about to shift. I knew a retired accountant obsessed with numbers, taxes, and dying poor. One summer, frogs nested in his backyard pond. He cursed them for weeks. But the same month he found a pension payout he forgot existed. Those damn frogs were louder than my lawyer. He told me, Frogs are drawn to clean flowing water, a symbol of unblocked karma. If you hear them, maybe your financial worries are unclogging. Maybe the tide is turning and the universe is finally processing your request. So don't chase them off. Don't poison the pond. Sit on your porch. Listen. Let them croak their little symphony. It might be annoying. It might be profound. Or it might be your ancestors trying to tell you, relax, the bill's already been paid. Part 6, Blooming Plants. Your soul is still fertile ground. Some people have a green thumb. Others have what I call a compost soul. They kill every houseplant but somehow still keep growing themselves. Now, if you've reached a certain age and suddenly notice your plants are thriving, leaves perking up, flowers blooming, succulents throwing parties, they might be trying to tell you something. Hey, you're not dead inside after all. In feng shui, healthy plants mean vital qi, a thriving energy field. In Buddhism, they symbolize impermanence and rebirth, the idea that growth can happen quietly after long winters of silence. And in elderly psychology, tending to plants improves emotional health, reduces loneliness, and quite literally rewires your aging brain. I once met a widower, former mechanic, tough as nails. His wife had kept a rose bush for 40 years. After she passed it, withered. He ignored it. 5 years later, while fixing his back porch, he accidentally spilled coffee grounds on the soil. The rose bloomed. He cried. Started gardening. Met a woman in his Tai Chi class. The rose bush kept blooming. So did he. Was it fertilizer or fate? Doesn't matter. The lesson: if your home's plants are thriving, especially after years of stubborn silence, you might be entering a new phase of personal prosperity, not just in money, but in meaning, relationships, regret-free mornings. So water your plants, whisper to them if you must. They may be growing in your garden, but the roots might be in your heart. And if your cactus starts blooming, darling, the universe is flirting with you. Part 7. Dragonflies and butterflies. Your karma just got a promotion. Dragonflies don't land on losers. Butterflies don't flap into houses that smell like despair and expired coupons. When one of these fragile little sky dancers floats into your yard, or better yet, right into your living room, it might be the universe gently whispering, "You're being watched," but in a good way. In Buddhism, butterflies represent impermanence, but also transformation, the journey from crawling worm to airborne mystic dragonflies. They're the sages of the insect world. They see in 360-degree, live short lives, and don't waste time on drama. Like enlightened seniors with wings, elderly psychology would call these meaningful coincidences. The brain seeks patterns, but sometimes those patterns are meaningful, especially when they show up after grief during decision-making, or when you've just asked the sky for a sign between naps. One older couple I knew lost their daughter in a tragic accident. They hadn't spoken for weeks. Then one morning, a golden butterfly circled their breakfast table. They said nothing, just watched. The next day, they planted a tree together. Was it her? Probably not. Did it matter? Absolutely not. What matters is that something broke through. And when a dragonfly or butterfly lands on your shoulder, your windowsill, or your unopened mail, maybe it's not just nature, maybe it's grace. So if you see one, pause. Don't swat. Don't assume. Just breathe. Because sometimes karma sends messengers with wings. And sometimes they show up right when you stop believing in signs at all. Part 8. Clear water. You're not spiritually constipated. Let's talk about water, not the kind in your overpriced alkaline bottle. I'm talking about the stuff in your backyard pond, your forgotten fish tank, or that old bird bath that somehow turned into a mosquito nightclub. If the water around your home is clean, clear, and moving, that's not just good plumbing, that's a spiritual thumbs up. Because in both feng shui and Buddhism, water is wealth, but not just the financial kind. Emotional wealth, flow, ease, peace of mind that doesn't depend on your cholesterol results. Now, if your pond is full of algae and your fish are floating upside down like little aquatic martyrs, That's a red flag. You may be spiritually clogged. In Buddhist psychology, flowing water represents the unobstructed mind, a mind that can receive release and respond without holding on to every grudge like it's a family heirloom. I once knew a 72-year-old man named Roy, lived alone, had a koi pond he never touched. One summer after deciding to forgive his ex-wife for that thing. In 1983, the pond cleared up overnight. He didn't clean it. He didn't even notice until his neighbor pointed it out. "I think your fish are happy," she said. They ended up going on a cruise together. Roy came back with a tan and a second pension. So if your home has clean water, good news, your chi is flowing, your karma's moving. Your emotional bowels are unblocked. And if the water's murky, don't panic. Just start cleaning inside and out. Even the oldest pipes can run clear again. Part 9. Bees building a hive. You've been upgraded to divine Wi-Fi. When bees start building a hive near your house, most folks reach for a broom or call pest control. But if you're paying attention and not allergic, you might realize something. Bees only show up where the signal is strong. Think of them as the sacred engineers of the spiritual internet. They don't waste their time on places with bad energy, poor feng shui, or homes vibrating with Netflix addiction and unresolved father issues. In Buddhist thought, bees represent right effort, the kind of steady, humble diligence that makes honey, not noise. In elderly psychology, they're often seen as symbols of community order and purpose. 3 things that quietly erode after retirement. If we're not careful, I once knew a woman named Joyce, 83, former librarian. Thought her best years were behind her. Then bees built a hive under her porch awning. She planned to remove it until her granddaughter convinced her to Google the spiritual meaning. She laughed, kept the hive. That fall, she was invited to co-author a memoir on aging and activism, called it Queen Bees Grow Old. 2 coincidence maybe, but her eyes lit up when she talked about it. They reminded me, I'm still sweet, she said. So if you notice a beehive forming near your home, don't see it as a problem. See it as an upgrade. Your house is now broadcasting abundance and the bees just got the memo. Just don't swat at them, because you never know when the universe is sending its message through wings wax and a low hum of divine productivity. Part 10. Your floorboards creak in just the right places. There's a difference between a haunted house and a wise one. A haunted house says, get out. A wise house says, sit down, dear. We need to talk. If your floorboards creak but only in certain places at just the right moments, it's not just aging wood. It might be intentional feedback from your home's nervous system. Seriously, Buddhism teaches that awareness arises from repetition. The mind notices patterns. And when your house starts chiming in creak creak as you walk toward your fridge at midnight, or a long groan when you're about to text your ex, that's not just old beams complaining, that's your house trying to parent you. Psychologists call this environmental conditioning. We assign emotional meaning to certain sounds even when we don't realize it. That creaky board outside your bathroom, it might be connected to a memory, a warning, or even a moment of spiritual clarity, if you're willing to listen. One older man I knew named Stanley said his hallway creaked every time he went to his garage to drink alone. Then one day, silence. No creak. He paused, turned around, poured out the bottle. Guess the house had enough of my crap, he said. If your house still talks to you through creaks, groans, and sighs, it's alive with your story. And if it creaks when you do something brave or something stupid that might be your home, giving you the old wooden thumbs up, or a slow, judgmental side eye. So next time you hear a creak, pause. Don't ignore it. It might be your soul's floor plan trying to speak. Part 11. The closet. You're afraid to clean. Suddenly smells like jasmine. We all have that closet. You know the one. The door that sticks. The shelf that sags. The strange sense that if you open it, your entire emotional history might fall out in a pile of old linens, canceled dreams, and expired batteries. Now imagine this one day you open it, and it smells like jasmine. Not mothballs, not mildew. Jasmine. Sweet floral, unsettlingly tender. Like someone or something has been there before you. Like a memory snuck in and lit incense when you weren't looking. In Buddhism, scent is one of the subtlest and most powerful gateways to memory and karma. A familiar smell can collapse decades of time and drop you directly into presence. Especially for the elderly, scent is often the last sense to fade and the strongest tied to emotion. So when that forgotten closet exhales a perfume, you can't explain your mother's cologne, your first love's shampoo, the incense from your childhood altar. It might not be coincidence. It might be a gentle haunting from your better self. I once knew a retired postal worker who kept all his wife's things in a hall closet, never opened it. 10 years later, when he finally did it, smelled like her perfume, jasmine and talc. He cried, then wrote her a letter. Said it was the first time he'd felt peace in a decade. So don't fear the smell. If your house offers jasmine where you expected dust, take it as a sign. You're being reminded. Grace lingers, even in the dark, cluttered corners. You've been too afraid to face. Some people say walls can't talk, but if you've lived long enough, you know better. Your home remembers things. The fights, the laughter, the day you almost moved out, the day you almost gave up, the day you didn't. Maybe that's why certain homes feel sacred, not because of what's inside them, but because of what they've witnessed. Buddhism teaches us that everything is interconnected: body, mind, space, even silence. Elderly psychology agrees the environment you age in doesn't just reflect your mind, it shapes it. So if your home has been whispering lately through sunlight, breezes, frogs, creaks, blooms, or bees, maybe it's not just coincidence. Maybe it's an invitation to stay put, wake up and bloom where you already are. Because what if the gold you've been looking for isn't out there? What if it's hidden in the corner of the garage, in the chair that creaks in the floorboard that remembers the rhythm of your life? So before you list the house, before you sell the history and downsize the soul, ask yourself, is this house done with me? Or is it just getting started? Because sometimes the longer you stay, the richer you get, not just in money, but in meaning.